This is Rich, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about what do forward deployed engineers actually do. I'm going to be walking you through this entire document and voice prompting all at the same time. And at the bottom of this, I will be providing you some additional resources if you want to go ahead and read up on it. And it really highlights the big needs of today's marketplace and why this is like companies in the past, I would say 15 to 20 days, probably close to $15 billion has been dedicated towards trying to solve the problem of driving AI adoption. Because effectively, AI is here, but people are still not using AI very effectively. The best reference that I can give somebody as a visual reference, and if you don't have access to this doc, it's called the Forward Deployed Career Playbook. By all means, DM me over here on LinkedIn. I am glad to help you all out however it is that I can. I know we have a lot of resources, and sometimes it can get a little bit confusing, but at the end of the day, we are able to help. And I'm going to tell you exactly why this position is not only so important, but in my next video, I'm going to be walking you also through what's the difference between forward deployed engineers, forward deployed product managers, and deployment strategists. This is actually coming up in the next round because I think there's actually there's a lot of news out there, but I want to give some really good context, especially for people that are looking to transition into the field. And also coming up here, I'll also be talking about like portfolio references, how to go out there and apply, and then also how to go out there and prepare for interviews. I want this to be, hopefully this is actually going to be able to provide you with references. Like I think we tried to do a pretty decent job here of like letting you know exactly what the forward deployed engineering resume needs to look like. But without further ado, let's actually just talk about what forward deployed engineers themselves do on a day-to-day basis, and actually how much the role has changed. The role itself has been around since 2010, but it's really gotten popular quite recently. And if you guys have not catch my video on Microsoft hiring 6,000 forward deployed engineers, it's also all in this doc. I want to give you guys as much context and reference as possible, because the more you understand what you're getting yourself into and the demands of the market, it's going to be that much easier for you to make this transition, cut through all of the noise, have a clear game plan, get everybody on the same page, and just be able to help you land your next forward deployed engineering job faster. So first things first is, this is actually Ramon Malik. Right here, you have the link. You can go and pop this link open. And this is actually the reference link that I had in the screenshot. And if I actually click on his LinkedIn profile right here, you can actually go and see. He is currently the VP of Product Management and Growth. Prior to that, he was the head of growth. And in his post, he says this. He's like, hey, for the month of May, I want to sit down with 5 companies. I want to sit down with every team, every department, every function, spec out opportunities for AI to either save time or generate revenue, build out the exact workflow every team, department, function needs, skills, workflows, documentation. I want to work with the team to integrate them. I want to answer questions, improve them, and I want to hang around until your team is fully self-serve, getting an incredible amount of impact from the new tooling. You will need to spend time with me for at least 1 week, daily check-ins, need to make sure everybody on the team is bought in, and there's no additional cost. Like he's actually offering that, and at the very bottom, he's like, if you want hands-on onboarding for myself or my team, shoot me an email about your company and team, and he actually hands out his name, Ramon, at perplexity.ai, which if you have not heard of Perplexity yet, do a little bit of research. So they're essentially the new major like search engine that's out there. If I was to sum it up very, very, very simple, that's an oversimplification of what they do. But I've also provided additional references here. So there's 2 responsibilities, and let's just go out there and highlight what's the problem forward deployed engineers are trying to solve. See, over the past few years, we have had, and I wanted to give you guys all of these references so you guys are not just hearing it from me, just like an essay that we used to read or a book. I'm here citing all of my sources right here. Amazon's putting $1 billion in actually hiring like $1 billion in a new forward deployed engineering unit. I love all the military terminology these people use too, and drop FDE. There's a brand new AI role exploding right now. Salesforce is committed to hiring 1,000 of them. Anthropic and OpenAI are spinning up $1 billion joint ventures to put hire all these forward deployed engineers. Microsoft just launched $2.5 billion subsidiary to hire 6,000 engineers. So like, this role is paying $500,000 to $1 million US. Yes, FDE is the highest paying job of the decade. And you'll basically see all these references. Okay, why is it so difficult to hire for this role, and why are so many people hiring for it, and why are people paying so much money for it? Precisely because as a forward deployed engineer, you need the ability to identify opportunities to save time. So there's another role out there that's not as glamorous, and it's called solutions engineer. And a solutions engineer would go out onto the client site and literally say like, hey, like, what do you want us to build? And we will build what you guys want us to build. And they wouldn't really care whether or not those things that they were, like the software or the solutions that they were building, actually gave value to the customer, in this case, the company. And that's been what's going on. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, FDE Career Playbook, please go ahead and actually do so, because I wanted to clip all that out. So these are the leaders right now of forward deployed engineering. And this guy here is actually the funniest. He's he runs forward deployed engineering over there at OpenAI, as you could see, based out of the UK. And this is a talk that these gentlemen actually recently held. They're all former Palantir here in New York at the South Park Commons office. It's like, well, all these guys are saying like the hardest part about this job is actually understanding what's of value to the customer and really working with the customer to understand what that is. And they actually say in all these clips, like, you just got to ask, there's two things, like prioritizing scale and ARR. Is this helping the customer actually save time and get more productivity? Or are we helping the customer make more money? Are we helping the customer get more customers? This is what's really important that people don't understand, and why some engineers are just really like, you'll hear some bitter news. The most important thing about your job, and I've had engineers debate me about this, but companies have been coming back out to these engineers that, let's just say from Microsoft or Salesforce, and they're like, what was the value that I got from you guys? You guys haven't done anything for us that actually we've invested all this money, and the return on investment, just from a mathematical numbers perspective, has been extremely underwhelming, and AI has really been in wide adoption for 5 years. We're talking about all of 2022. April 2022 was the first ChatGPT demo. April 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and now we're in 2026. More than half of 2026 is gone. So we could safely say for 5 years now, we haven't really, for like 5 years right now, we haven't really seen the return on investment. And now they're going to have to provide that ROI. This is actually why in our next video, we're going to go ahead and cover what's the difference between forward deployed engineers, forward deployed product managers, and deployment strategists, because they're on the business side. Now, so if some of you guys are stressing out like whether or not I have the technical chops to do it, don't worry about it, because your ability to communicate with your customer as a human being and as a non-technical person is actually a flex, because most engineers unfortunately are robots, and they're not looking for opportunities of what's really going to go ahead and provide value for the customer. The other thing here is, the other key responsibility is actually training people up to use these tools as a power user. I'll give you an example. Before, let's just say, take for example, the forward deployed engineer is a translator. Before, let's just say like the language that I'm trying to learn right now is French. I would just have my translator translate for me. Right now, I actually want to speak French. Like before, it's like, let's use Claude Code. Like, tell me what you want to build. I could go out there and build it out. No, I actually want to learn how to build too. So the other thing here is, engineers have had a very difficult time teaching people that are not engineers how to use this. So the fact that you came in from a non-technical background, talking to non-technical people, at the very least, they feel like you understand their pain. Because the biggest complaint that companies have about their FD is like, yeah, I can't communicate with this person. I got no value working with this person. Like this person's like, all they ever say is like, oh, that's really complicated. Yeah, it's really difficult. You know, like you have to be, as an FDE, you have to be able to communicate with people on a very human level and be very approachable and understanding and also patient. A lot of times software engineers, they simply just don't have that. This is actually why in the upcoming videos, I'm gonna talk about like why you need, like the two things, like there's a few things, there's a lot of things you can do to stand out on the interview, but hosting webinars is very key because you're actually showing the company that you're able to interact with the customer, which we'll actually go out there and cover for y'all in a second. But like this lady here who landed multiple AI product manager offers with us by hosting hackathons. She hosted 1 hackathon, 2 hackathons, 3 hackathons, 4 hackathons. It was 4 days in a row, and she was able to teach skills. This is actually a website this person was able to deploy. They didn't know anything starting day 1. They started from 0, and they were able to get to day 4. I'll tell you guys why that's actually important right now. Companies need to see how it is that you're interacting with people. This is now the hottest role, so you have a lot of people actually rushing to it. So like this right here, building with Manus agents, right?
I
AI
actually wrote this out
agents.
in one long.
Okay. Show us like it's no longer about your ability to do something. It's can other people actually get value? Can they actually learn how to build something too? By day 4, are you able to go ahead and teach somebody that doesn't know how to use AI to build a website to be able to go out there and build a website out in less than 4 days? Because on the interview, they're going to ask you, how do you deal with difficult people? What if somebody asks you a very annoying question? Like, how do you feel about process and training documentation? They're going to ask you all these questions, and just like a first date, you're going to give them a lot of lies. You're going to say, oh yeah, I'm great with people. Oh yeah, that doesn't bother me any. Yeah, I'm a very patient person. And then you know what ends up happening? They hear it from the customer where they're just like, can we get into somebody else? And this is actually why people actually ask these interviewers, well, like, if there's so many roles, like, we've all been to these types of talks before. You bring out top level talent, people that are running like effectively a team. And then at the end of these talks, basically, like you have the OpenAI, Ramp, Nominal, and DataLand CTOs, heads of forward deployed engineering, and some founders that are here. And then at the end of these talks, people just ask them questions like, what do you guys look for in talent? Like, how do you interview people? What are the skills that you look for? Blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to go out there and they're actually just going to go out there and tell you guys, like, this is what it is that we look for. They really look for people that can actually add value to the customer. How are you interacting with people? It's, this is the difficulty. We're not just going to hire anybody, even though there's a huge need right now in the marketplace. So I would recommend in the next coming up steps, I don't really like to say homework, but, additional references to learn more. Even right now, I'm forward deploying. I'm like building this as I go because, speed is your greatest asset, right? So you can go out there, watch each and every one of these clips. I provided all the references here. And then if you have any additional questions, let me know. There's a lot to learn, but don't feel overwhelmed. We're going to be with y'all every single step of the way. Talk to y'all very, very, very soon. In the next video, we're going to talk about what's the difference between forward deployed engineers, product managers, and deployment strategists.